am the village's ugly girl, and no one wants to see my face. I have a scar that irritates everyone, so I always covered it to save myself from the embarrassment. Once upon a time, in a very rich village, there lived a king and queen. They were so kind and peaceful. The villagers loved them and they ruled them gloriously. The king and his wife loved each other so much, and after many years of marriage, she finally became pregnant. The news spread round the village, and the villagers were so happy and eager to meet the child. The people showered the queen with lots of gifts for a very long time, but their joy was cut short. A tragedy struck, and the neighboring village declared war on them. The war lasted for many days, and the women in the village, including the queen, were hidden in a secret room to protect them. Their enemies defeated a lot of their warriors, and soon they became exposed to danger. One night, the queen went into labor that lasted for several hours. When it was time for her to give birth, she gave birth to a baby girl. But something strange happened, and the baby did not cry. After a few minutes of birth, the midwife announced that the child was dead. This broke the people's hearts. The midwife wrapped the baby, and the queen said her goodbye. The dead baby was handed over to a warrior to go and secretly bury, as the village was surrounded by the enemy's soldiers. But the warrior's life was cut short by the soldiers. The village suffered a great loss and they were defeated. Only the king, some few men and women survived. Most of their properties and livestock were taken, and their houses were set ablaze. After the war, the villagers began to rebuild afresh. There was starvation that season, and the people had to manage the little that they had. A year passed, and the king and queen were blessed with a son, and they named him Achike. King Arinze and his wife were so happy, and they finally felt joy after so much pain caused by the war and the loss of their child. Prince Achike grew up to be a very happy and hardworking boy, and the people loved him. Not too long, the wicked king from the neighboring village died, and his son was crowned king. When he was told of his late father's ill deeds, he decided to make amends. He reached out to all the villages affected and extended a hand of peace. King Arinze forgave them, and the kingdom were at peace with each other, and they began to trade with each other. One day, in one of Achike's travels, he decided to take a quick rest by the riverside. After a while, he heard someone singing. The voice was so beautiful that it melted his heart. When the music stopped, Achike was eager to know who was singing. As he looked around, he saw a girl, and when he approached her, she grabbed her scarf, covered her face, and ran away. Achike ran after her, and after a while, she ran into a hut. Achike stopped and asked a villager who she was, and they told him that she was a nobody. Achike found that hard to believe because the voice kept sounding in his head. He went towards the door and knocked on it. The girl was scared, and with her shaking voice, She asked who Achike was and what he wanted. Achike complimented her singing and begged her to open the door. At first, she refused, but after almost an hour of knocking, she opened the door with her face covered with a scarf. Her name was Nadia. Her voice was so unique and beautiful that Achike wanted to know more about her. He asked her why her face was covered. "I am the village's ugly girl and no one wants to see my face. I have a scar on my face that irritates everyone, so I always covered it to save myself from the embarrassment," Nadia said to Achike. When Achike heard this, he begged Nadia to take it off, but Nadia refused and said she was ashamed of her look. Achike apologized and felt pity for her. They talked for a long time, and after a while, he begged her to sing for him, and she sang melodiously. Achike thanked her and he left. When he got to his village that day, he kept thinking of Nadia and her charming voice. And the next morning, he disguised himself again and went to see her, and soon they became very good friends. One day, he begged Nadia to let him see her face. When Nadia took off the scars were not the only thing Achike saw. She had a very fine nose and a very beautiful hair, and her smile was charming. Achike told her that she was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen, and she looked just like his mother. Nadia thought he was just joking, but soon he realized the seriousness in his eyes. She became so happy as no one has ever said that to her before. Since that day, she felt so comfortable being around Achike. Achike would help her with some chores, and not too long, Nadia gained confidence and she started leaving the house without covering her face. People were surprised and they bullied her, but this did not stop her. One day, when she was buying some items from the village market, a girl named Ezine came to bully her as usual. She called Nadia a beast, but Nadia smiled at her. "I am the most beautiful girl I have ever seen, and there is nothing that you can do or say that will make me think otherwise," she said to Ezine. Ezine was shocked at her confidence and she buried her head in shame. Ever since then, she never troubled Nadia again. And soon, Nadia's confidence grew and the villagers got tired of bullying her. Achike was so happy and he asked Nadia about her parents. Nadia told him that she never knew her birth parents and that her foster father, who adopted her, died some years ago, and her foster mother drove her out of the house because she never liked her and always told her that she was bad luck. She told Achike that whenever she was sad, she would begin to sing. Achike's heart melted and he began to like Nadia more. He told his parents about her and they asked him to invite her to the palace. When Achike told Nadia that he was a prince, Nadia was surprised because he behaved so simple and was never proud. And she agreed to follow Achike to see his parents. Upon getting to the palace, she was welcomed as a friend of the prince. When the king and queen saw her, the queen's spirit was unsettled. She stared at Nadia all through the meeting till Nadia became so uncomfortable and requested to leave. "Have we met before? You look so familiar," the queen said to Nadia. Everyone was surprised and wondered how they might have known each other before. That night, the queen could not sleep. She kept telling the king that her spirit was unsettled because of Nadia. The next day, she sent some people to go and find out everything about her. When they returned, they told her all that they could gather. She is the adopted daughter of late Igbodo, a very powerful warrior in their village. He died some years back, and her foster mother drove her out of the house because she felt Nadia caused the death of her husband, they said to the queen. The queen could not rest. She asked Prince Achike to invite Nadia over. And the next day, Achike came with Nadia and the queen welcomed her warmly. "Please tell me all about yourself," she said to Nadia. Nadia was surprised at first and she began to respond to the queen. "I am originally from this village. My father adopted me when I was just a baby. He said during the war, a soldier carrying me was killed. I fell to the ground and injured my face. When he heard me, he said I opened my eyes, but I never cried, rather I held his finger. He could not let go of me, and he took me to his village where he took care of me as his own child. People believed I was cursed because I never cried as a baby," she said to the queen. Just when she was about to continue, the queen began to cry uncontrollably. Nadia asked why she was crying, and she asked Nadia if she had any birthmark on her thigh, and Nadia showed her. The queen was so happy and she called everyone and told them what Nadia had said. Nadia was confused and the queen told her everything that happened when she was born during the war. "You are my daughter, Nadia, and the birthmark has just proven that." Everyone in the palace were amazed and were happy for the new discovery. The news of the princess's return spread through the village, and she was immediately being addressed by her new title. Achike was very happy. "So truly you are my sister, and my older one at that," he said to Nadia, and they both teased each other. The queen and king immediately started giving her royal treatment, and maidens were assigned to her. Not too long, the scar on her face cleared out, and she was truly the most beautiful girl. Everyone who saw her were amazed, and not too long, plenty suitors started seeking for her hand in marriage. When Nadia visited her old village, no one recognized her. They all greeted her as a princess. All who saw her were amazed, and when they found out that it was Nadia, they buried their heads in shame. During her visit, she caught the eyes of the prince, and one thing led to another. They fell in love with each other. After some months, Prince Ekene told his father of his intentions towards Nadia, and they immediately went to see King Arinze and the queen. Nadia consented to the marriage, and they both agreed that their union would be a way to unite the two kingdoms forever. Nadia and Prince Ekene got married, and a wedding feast was held. They both lived happily ever after, and the kingdoms were at peace with each other. This is the end of this story. The moral lesson of this story is not to bully anyone and to show people some compassion. as they may be going through difficult situations in their life that they did not create for themselves. Thank you for listening to this story. If you want us to make more videos, hit on the like and subscribe button below and comment which country you are watching from. We love and appreciate you. Bye.